What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Week 3 Fantasy Recap. As you can see, I'm here with my dog. I'm here with my dogs, my co-host, Raza Ali. Say what up to the people.
What's going on,
Um,
everyone?
so this week of fantasy was crazy. It was a wild one. Uh, there was a lot to discuss, and we are gonna just dive right in to the matchup of the week, which is our boy Raza and Salik. This matchup was a nail biter till the end. Truly was. Um, Salik edged out the win by zero point zero 0.02 points. Total was 148.7 over 148.68, and I know it pains Raza for me to say that, but this was a great matchup. In terms of the fantasy week, there wasn't a lot of scoring, but this was one of our highest scoring matchups of the week. And although Salik slipped away by a small margin, both teams played well. On Raza's team, there was some breakout players like Hollywood Brown and Derrick Henry, as well as Salik's team, which is Mark Andrews and Joe Burrow. But it was pretty evenly matched, as you can see.
I just want to mention, if it wasn't for that Diggs interception, man, I was pulling out the dub.
That's
So
crazy.
it
I didn't watch
literally,
the game. Was it towards the end?
yeah, bro. There was like a minute left in the game, and Daniel Jones was just had to be Daniel Jones, and just he threw a freaking pick at the last minute of the game, and then those last couple points edged out Salik over me. So I mean, it was
Oh,
a tough one. I'm not gonna lie, that
yeah.
one hurt a lot.
That's rough, dude. Because I feel like you made some money moves in terms of trades, like week 2, and then you're like, okay, this is my new team. But you did make some more trades as well. So let's see. It's looking up next week.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. Just quickly, I just wanted to hop in before we move on to talking about the studs and duds. We thought of changing it up a little bit and talking about this previous week's matchups. Not our matchup specifically, but just something we want to highlight from this what happened in the NFL. And since we have a Niner faithful fan here, I wanted to go in and talk about the Niners versus Broncos game and specifically talk about, like the Niners struggles and just overall, what did you think about the game? I just want to get your perspective on that.
Dude, Kyle Shanahan is on the hot seat. Like, this man just doesn't know how to coach. There's a clip on Twitter that came out that you can read Jimmy Garoppolo's lips, and he's like, "Man, your plays can suck," or something like that. And I'm like, dude, that's so true because like you gotta call a proper game for Jimmy Garoppolo, and he just didn't. And yeah, as a fan, it's just like annoying to see this happen over and over again. We just love to have leads and not finish a game.
Yeah, I mean, I found it really interesting that I think it's something that you mentioned, and I've also seen a lot online a lot that with Mike McDaniel leaving, the offense kind of just the creativity just left with it, like the brain and
Yeah,
creativity. And yeah, you brought up a good point about Jimmy G, and like I just wanted to get your perspective on that. Um, personally, I feel like you know what you're getting with Jimmy G, and a lot of the people were saying the Super Bowl odds are gonna change, and he's looking like he's gonna bring the team to another NFC Championship game. But personally, I feel like he's not gonna be any better than what he was last year. So like, what do you think about that, and how do you feel about the team for the rest of the season?
I think in terms of defense, like our defense always carries us every year. I think this defense is better than previous years. Like our cornerbacks are like shutdown cornerbacks. We got Charvarius Ward from the Chiefs and Emmanuel Mosley on the other side, who's like a sleeper corner, but still like cornerbacks are good, and that was our biggest weakness. So we don't really have any weakness in terms of our defense. And then it's really up to Kyle Shanahan. He just has to figure stuff out. Last year, Jimmy Garoppolo started off bad. The year before that, he started off bad, or Super Bowl year, sorry. So we've made it great places with Jimmy Garoppolo. It's up to Kyle Shanahan's creative mind that everyone says that he has to get his shit together. And hopefully get a winning season out of it. You know?
Yeah, definitely. I think you guys bounced back. It was just a
Yeah,
rough game. But yeah,
exactly.
moving on, keeping track of time. We don't want to take too much of our people's time. So
Third,
let's just jump straight into the studs. So I'll start us off. The first couple of people I want to mention, just quickly name them off. Lamar Jackson. This dude has just been going nuclear this season. I mean, he
stud,
like
bro.
they didn't give him the contract, and he's like, okay,
MVP.
you don't want to give me a contract. I'll prove you wrong and show you why I deserve a contract. Anyway,
Yeah,
I feel like there's a separate discussion that could be had about it and what'll happen for him in the offseason, but let's not get to that. So he had 4 passing touchdowns, 107 rushing yards, and 218 passing yards. He went nuclear. I also want
crazy.
to mention a couple other people. Saquon Barkley. Your statement is coming to fruition. I mean, I honestly think he's a RB1 the rest of the season. He put up another really good stat line: 81 rushing yards, rushing touchdown with 45 receiving yards. He just looks like he has burst. He looks like he has juice. He's just looking amazing. One other player I just wanted to quickly highlight as well was James Robinson. Going into the season, most people were saying that ETN would be the guy. I feel like we talked about this last week as well, but I mean,
Yeah.
he looks like a amazing pure runner, like up there with like someone like Derrick Henry or Nick Chubb. I just don't see a path for him to not continue to be a great running back. But yeah,
Yeah,
those are my
dude,
picks.
bro. James Robinson looks like an RB1. Like,
Yeah.
shout out Summy for trading for him, man. Like, he was so like annoyed that I gave it to Summy out of all people.
Right.
But yeah, he looks like a stud, and hopefully Travis Etienne gets plugged into that offense, and it's like a 1A 1B type of
Dude, they
situation.
both look like they have a lot of juice, which is
Yeah,
insane. So I
and
mean,
they're both coming off of like major injuries as well,
yeah,
which is pretty crazy.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and the NFL personal training staff is kind of OP, so
for sure.
it is kind of wild. I guess in terms of my studs, I would say Devontae Smith is a huge one. Going off for 30 points. Actually, funny story. Ali Zaidi texted me the morning of Sunday, and he's like, "Hey, Wajih, can you like, is there any way you can change my lineup to Damian Pierce in? I accidentally benched him for Devontae Smith, and he's a bum and whatever, right?" And I'm like, "Nah, bro, sorry, I'm like away from my computer, can't do that." And then he goes off for 169 receiving yards. So he looked like an absolute monster, looking reminiscent of his Alabama days. So it was very cool to see Devontae Smith take over that game. Another stud, I would say, is Chris Olave. Although Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry were banged up in that, I would say Olave is a field stretcher, and Jameis Winston definitely likes to air the ball out. So
He's proving himself too.
it's a match made in heaven for sure. And I really think that Chris Olave can be huge this year. Maybe not a wide receiver one, but like wide receiver two, three, even like flex play. Like I hopefully he's on my team, he can be that. I think in terms of duds, I want to talk about, since we're on the topic of my team, I do want to talk about Justin Jefferson. God damn, bro, this man got locked up 2 times. Once last week and now this week, 2 weeks in a row. Kind of crazy. It doesn't help that Kirk Cousins is the quarterback, but Justin Jefferson's getting locked up, bro. It's wild.
I was surprised they didn't throw to him more. Honestly, like with how close the game was, that was kind of shocking
Yeah.
to me.
I mean, yeah, KJ Osborne became like a wide receiver one all of a sudden.
He's
So,
looking better than Thielen as well. So
dude, yeah, I know.
something to keep in mind.
It's quite frustrating. But yeah, that's definitely a huge dud. I would say another dud for me is Joe Mixon. I mean, we've talked about this. Like, we don't really love the Bengals offense, although Joe Burrow cooks every week. Like, the offensive line is just scary to me.
Right.
And I think he only had like 27 rushing yards or something like that. So not a whole lot of volume, and he's just not producing as at the rate that we want.
Right. Yeah. Going into my duds, just hopping straight into it. I got to give a shout out to Tyreek Hill. I mean, this was a close matchup. They were
5 points,
like,
right?
yeah, something like that. I think he had 2 receptions, 33 yards. Yeah, 5 points. I mean, it was a close matchup, kind of the same thing like Justin Jefferson. There was a close game, and he just couldn't really output any points. I guess he was getting locked down. I also wanted to quickly mention the Packers running backs. Just looking at that game, people were expecting a lot more points than that were put up, but it was just a defensive battle. I think the
Yeah.
both of them combined for like right around 50 yards. Don't quote me on it, but I think they might even be a little bit lower than that. But and there was no rushing touchdowns either. So I mean, the Bucks put on a clinic with their D line. Um, yeah, it was very shocking, honestly. And I don't know. I feel like the Packers offense, if if the running backs aren't doing well, it's going to be really difficult for the rest of the season. So
Yeah. I mean, they did end up winning that game, right?
they did, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
in these close,
Romeo Dobbs looked really good, or
right?
Dobbs,
Yeah,
waiver wire pickup. So let's see who gets him this week. But um, yeah, that
right,
offense does look legit.
right, yeah. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it for the duds. So just moving into talking about how the standings are kind of shaking up in our fantasy league. This is gonna be a shocker to most people. I think Amar messaged this in our messenger group too. One of the bottom four scorers is sitting at number one right now with an undefeated record. It's my man Ali Zedi.
¿Quién
He's
es Rocky Gadel?
he's sitting up here with 393 total scored points. Kind of looking like the Giants a little bit, scoring less points. The undefeated team, who knows if they'll continue to be this good based on how much they're scoring. Looking at the other standings, some people that kind of stand out to me is Amar at number three and Daniel at number two. They're off to really good starts to this year. Um, I'm I'd be very surprised if they were to start falling in the standings. Just looking at both their teams, they have some really solid players. Um, I'm actually very shocked at the fact that Daniel's up here with even with Keenan Allen sitting out. Just
Yeah.
to name a few other honorable mentions of some people, and just to tell you who else is lined up in the standings, we got uh, our co-host right here, Wajih at number four. Then we got Samuel Himmati at number five. Going down after that, we have Farhan Ali Rizvi at seven. Eighth is Abbas. Ninth, that's Sadik, and then 10th, unfortunately, is yours truly.
Yikers.
Um, yeah, I mean the standings look good. Just like every year, it's super competitive, and I'm curious to see what you think and how you think the season's gonna continue to roll out, and if you're surprised by anything.
Yeah, I think it's early on. Like it's hard to say anything. I think we're have like 16 weeks, so like a couple games in, I can't say a whole lot. I do want to mention that the trade between you and Ali of like Derrick Henry, Jamar Chase swap, those are like needs in your guys' team. So I think like you guys will slowly move up the rankings because of that one single player. I think that'll really help. That was a super fair trade. Um,
Right.
in terms of like the top four, I definitely don't think that this will be consistent throughout the year. Maybe, hopefully I'll jump up to number one, but I think in terms of like the top four, like that'll definitely change. And we could very much see like a swap of the bottom four to the top four, if that makes sense. So like the 7, 8, 9, 10, like can definitely be in the top four if you really wanted to, because I feel there's a lot of waiting for players on those teams and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see how it shapes out.
Right. One interesting thing I want to mention, I just noticed that Yahoo also shows how many moves each team has done. We have only one team sitting here that's made no moves at Abazedi. Let's see if this week is the week that he picks up someone.
Come on,
Um,
Abbas, if you're listening to this,
yeah, let's see if
hey,
Abbas makes mention of this to see if he's actually watching the videos. And then
yeah.
the other person I want to highlight is our man Daniel Mirza. If you had to take a guess how many moves he's made, how many do you think it would be?
I just saw the number, but I would think maybe like 15, like
Yeah,
before I saw it.
yeah. I mean that's fair. I think the median is around like I mean we are in week three, so the median is around I'd say 8 or 9. My man
Yeah.
Daniel Mirza's already up to 26.
Dude, indecisive ass guy, bro.
Yeah. So interesting to see, but I bet that number hits triple digits fairly soon.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I feel like that indecisiveness definitely it leads us to our last section, which is Shaqtin a
I
fool.
like the segue.
What we all have been waiting for. I would say the Shaqtin a fool for this week. I'm sorry, my man, but it's gotta be our boy, the non-fantasy champion, Farhan Himmati. I mean, like, dude, I like your team. I said I like your team from before, but not cracking 100 is rough, man. And a lot of duds, like Raza was mentioning, like Tyreek Hill, Darren Waller, Rashad Bateman. There was a lot of people that did not perform, and you kind of got whacked by Danielle. So that was probably not a fun week, but I'm sure you will come back strong next week. There's a lot of good matchups for you next week. So I see you taking the W. But
I
yeah,
also see
any
here
comments?
quickly. I just wanted to mention he left like a lot of points on his bench. If you want to just highlight that real quick, so he's got like Lockett, Madison, Lazard, Khalil
Yeah,
Herbert, like a lot of
I mean,
points.
a lot of points, but a lot of points where you can't really predict, right? Like
Exactly.
Madison, backup running back, Khalil Herbert,
Backup.
backup running back.
Yep.
Although those are two huge waiver wire picks, so Farhan already
He
has
already
them.
has him. Yeah.
So yeah, kudos to him, and I think he can bounce back from this loss and get a dub next week. But I think that concludes it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and having fun with us every single week. Thank you for joining. If you have any suggestions or tips on how to improve any segments, or even if you want to join in on the fun on Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever we film, please hit us up. But for now, good luck in week 4 of fantasy football, and we're signing off. See you guys later.
Thank you, everyone.